The committee hearings on Trump's assassination attempt may not have gotten many specific answers, but they did get Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle to resign today. Find out more about exactly who's to blame in the days and weeks to come. But it seems like Donald Trump has already decided who's to blame, posting on Truth Social, "The Biden-Harris administration did not properly protect me. I was forced to take a bullet for democracy. It was my great honor to do so." So it's official now. Donald Trump has decided to politicize his own near-death experience and blame President Biden and Vice President Harris. It was just 5 days ago at the RNC where he gave a powerful speech about his experience and said it would be the only time he'd speak about it.
So many people have asked me, what happened? Tell us what happened, please. And therefore, I will tell you exactly what happened, and you'll never hear it from me a second time because it's actually too painful to tell.
Well, it doesn't seem to be the case anymore. It seems it's becoming a part of his campaign. Look, discussing the details in interviews, et cetera, it's his prerogative to discuss it as often as he chooses, and even to use the assassination attempt as part of his campaign. But it seems to me it shouldn't be his prerogative to point fingers at others, including Biden and Harris, without any evidence to back it up. His vice presidential pick, J.D. Vance, also seemed to do that in the hours after the shooting when he said today is not just some isolated incident. The central premise of the Biden campaign is that President Trump is an authoritarian fascist who must be stopped at all costs. That rhetoric led directly to President Trump's attempted assassination. Again, there was nothing to support that at the time, and even today there's not. But why give up the high ground? That's what I don't get. Donald Trump was the victim of a potential assassin. Why now play dangerous political games with that? Joining us now is Roger Severino. He was the director of the Office of Civil Rights in the Trump administration. Thanks very much for coming on the program. Appreciate it. All right, so you disagree with me on what he's saying about this?
Yeah, completely. You're blaming the victim. President Trump missed dying by millimeters by the grace of God, and he's asking for accountability, right? All he said was the Biden-Harris administration failed to properly protect him. Where does the buck stop? Right? Somebody is ultimately responsible for the worst debacle in decades. The Secret Service has one job, one overriding mission: protect the president, protect former presidents, protect their protectees. That's it. And they're brave men and women that actually stood in fire, tried to take bullets, but there never should have been bullets flying. And somebody has to be responsible. And you have to say who is responsible.
Agreed.
The administration is ultimately responsible. That's all he said.
How do you figure that the administration is ultimately responsible? And I get that the Secret Service director, even before finding out exactly what folks were doing on the ground, who made mistakes, I get her stepping down. Okay. But how is this the Biden-Harris administration's responsibility? I mean, doesn't that feel like what a missed opportunity here to continue to talk very eloquently as he did at the RNC about what happened to him? You mentioned that he was the victim. There's no doubt he was the victim. This isn't blaming the victim. This is the victim now changing the conversation, and instead of moving forward and taking the high ground, just getting ugly and making it political.
Oh, not at all. We have to find out what happened. Now, who's responsible?
Right, but how does that relate to the Biden-Harris administration?
They're the ones ultimately responsible. They have to be responsible for answering what happened. Where were the failures? Was it in training? Was it in hiring Cheadle to begin with? Was it in all the other failures that happened? There was an attack of one agent against another for psychological issues. There were warning signs. The President Trump actually asked for additional security, and the Secret Service has admitted that had been denied. There are failures all the way. Where did this happen? Where did this come from? You cannot say that a CEO of an organization is not responsible for what the underlings do. That's passing the buck. You have to have accountability at the top. If President Biden wants to be president, if Kamala Harris wants to be president, there has to be accountability. You have to answer, how did this monumental failure happen? We need those answers.
So again, let's say that a state trooper engages in some sort of misconduct, right, while doing the job, and state troopers have very difficult jobs across the country. But let's assume for a moment that a state trooper engages in misconduct. It's fair to then blame the administration of the governor for that conduct, correct?
Oh, you're talking about low-level stuff. We're talking about protecting a former president who's a political rival.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.